Right, ladies and gentlemen, a big warm welcome to the second episode of the Under the Lights podcast with myself, Robert Blundell. Delighted to be joined by my old friend, Meshech Spere. Been a while, Shaq. How are we? Good to see you, mate.
I'm not too bad, mate. Not too bad yourself.
Yeah, I'm good. Glad to have you on and have you see you back out doing what you do best. That's what we wanted to go through today. Was just maybe introduce you to some people who aren't familiar with you. Liverpool's very own Mr Notorious, Meshech Spere, fresh off a first round KO victory over Essex's tough boxer Casey Bradnam. Shaq, it was your first bout in 5 years. What we were looking to do today was go through your career, see what led to that little 5-year hiatus you had, your plans going forward, because you still only are 28 years of age as well, aren't you? So plenty of time ahead, plenty of time to go, basically getting a second career. The question I was going to ask with is, how did Meshech Spere first get into boxing?
The first time I got into boxing, my grandad was a boxer. He won a Commonwealth bronze medal in the 1974 Commonwealth Games. He was a good amateur, my grandad. Was on the Olympic team around them times. Boxed with the likes of Robbie Davis, Joe Lally, John Consey. He was of that era. He didn't really want me to do boxing, to be honest with you, when I was younger, but I was one of them persistent kids. I seen him do it. I was a bit wild. My mum needed to get me into something. And yeah.
Yeah, so what age were you where you went against your granddad's wishes and got in the gym?
8. I've got a funny story about that.
Go on.
So when my very, very, very first training was Kevin Smith, when I went to Golden Gloves, when it was on in the Belve by Peel Street, and I lied about my age, and it would come to my 9th birthday, and I was meant to box, and it come out then I was only 9, and he was like, "Oh, you've lied to me, you can't fight." And then when I was 10, I ended up having my first fight in Wales. Yeah. That's when Georgie Treble took over the gym then, but yeah. But my granddad then come to watch me fight.
So you started your amateur career with
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, when your granddad came to watch you box.
He came to watch me box, and he didn't say 2 words. He wasn't happy about it. He watched it. I won. Nearly stopped the lad. Give him a standing counting every round, and he just got up and walked out. Didn't say a word to me.
So you're up against it from the start, really. But age of 10 boxing for the Golden Gloves. How long were you at the Golden Gloves for your entire amateur career?
No. Up until I was about 11, 12, and then I went to Everton Red Triangle. And finished.
How many?
Sorry.
How long were you at Everton Red?
So I was at the Everton Red from 11 till about 15, 16. Then I went back to the Golden Gloves. Finished my amateur career off with Wayne Smith, and then turned professional again with the Everton Red Triangle.
How many amateur bouts did you have?
Over 100.
Over 100.
Yeah,
what sort of? Who was some of the kids you boxed? Any big names that the viewers might know?
Yeah, I boxed Dalton Smith, City Iqbal. There's a good few. Brandon Dayard, Andrew Kane.
And then obviously, when you said you turned over there with the Everton Red Triangle, you were only 20.
Yeah.
You're only 19, 20 when you turned over.
Yeah.
What brought the idea to turn over so young?
Well, I started having kids very young. I was 15 when I had my first. And yeah, so for turn over and try and earn a living out of it.
I see. There you were a dad at 15. I know you say there you started having kids early. How many is it you've got?
6. 6 daughters.
6 kids at 28.
Yeah.
6 daughters.
6 daughters, yeah.
Oh, you got it there, haven't you?
Yeah. Got
Meshech?
me hands full.
So, obviously, when you turned over 2017 for that contest against Luke Fash, a very well-known, respected journeyman on the scene,
Yeah.
he's now gone on to have 117 contests so far, Luke Fash, and still going strong. He'd had 27, 28 when you boxed him. How different was it? Obviously, you know, you were an amateur boxing the likes of Sahir Iqbal, Dalton Smith. To go in with someone against Luke, no disrespect to him, because he's very skilled at what he does, but it's a totally different concept to boxing lads like Dalton and Sahir. How did you find that adjustment?
I always had a professional style as an amateur, so there was the pace was a lot slower. Obviously, boxing with no top, no vest on, no top. Gloves are very smaller as well, so even like taps at the back of the head and stuff, you feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was a
And then,
very I was developed from a young age, if that makes sense. I had like a man's body as a kid. Very strange. But yeah.
yeah, like, you've always been known as strong and being able to punch, haven't you?
Yeah.
After you boxed Luke, it was the first time I was lucky enough to MC it as a professional when you boxed Paul Pierce on the undercard and Nick Ball and Brian Phillips at the Greenbank
Yeah.
Sports Centre. Obviously, Nick's gone on to be a world champion. Brian's had to come back himself. Hasn't he had your own Scouse derby on that undercard, though, didn't you, against Paul Pierce?
Yeah.
With a winning with a first round stoppage.
Yeah.
Paul's record on BoxRec probably doesn't tell the true story of him, does it? Because I know he boxed amateur and he did a bit of unlicensed and Bieber stuff. Wasn't a mug, was he? And you stopped him in the first
No,
round. How was that turning
you
over
know
and
what?
boxing a Scouser on a bit of a derby, really? So bad.
On the lead up to that fight, I knew who he was and stuff, so it was like my first introduction to like a proper fight with somebody actually coming to win, sort of thing. So yeah, it was a good experience, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Especially with it being another Liverpool lad and stuff as well.
I remember you
It was
stopping him in
good.
the first round, I think. But yeah, I remember that show at the Green. Like, it was when I think it was only the second pro show I ever MC'd, you know.
No way.
And then after that, you got a bit of momentum going. You boxed Zaki Shearzad, stopping him. And then you went on to box two of the most active journeymen on the circuit, Nabil Ahmed. Today, that was actually Nabil's debut when you stopped him. He's had over 100 bouts, over 49 bouts now, and he's only been stopped 3 times.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
So do you think that was the start of you showing you were a puncher?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
no. Then after that, you went on to box Chris Hadaway. He was another very experienced boxer.
Yeah. He was a tricky customer.
Sorry, I think I had a bit of sound issue there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, he's a good boxer, Chris Hadaway. I know he got a draw with Tommy Carris, and I think he boxed Tom Farrell as well. So he knows his way around the ring, Hadaway, doesn't he?
Definitely, he was doing the showboating. He got into me head a bit in that fight, to be honest with you. That was probably my first fight where a fighter was able to get into my head in the middle of a fight. Yeah, he's a tricky customer, Hadaway.
Really? What was it he was doing? Just like all pro tricks?
No, a lot of showboating.
Was it just like all pro tricks?
No,
bit of old man
a lot of
in
showboating, hitting and looking out at the crowd and stuff. Yeah. My first time dealing with stuff like that. Even through my amateurs, I never dealt with anything like that. So yeah, it was an introduction, so to speak.
Yeah. So as a young, obviously you're still only early 20s there, aren't you? Dealing with someone who's gone with that. Do you think, did it affect your performance at all?
No, I wouldn't say it affected my performance. I think it gave me more to think about to what I'd had to do beforehand, but no, not really. although I seem a bit of a hothead and like I'm quite
the way we
cool.
had
I'm
a
quite
bit of a
cool-headed.
yeah. After that, we had a bit of an 18-month gap. Could you explain? I know COVID come in the middle of that, but what happened with, because you had at that point really you had a bit of good momentum. You were 5-0, 2 years into your pro career, 5-0. Couple of knockouts, couple of good hard rounds against the lads you'd expect to be in with Chris Hadaway and Luke Fash, lads like that. You've probably stopped the lads who were maybe a little bit below, knowing what they were doing. We didn't see you from then, from May 19th for 18 months. What was going on in that pit? I know COVID come in halfway through, but did anything else change in that time, or was it just inactivity?
I changed gym. I left the Everton Red Triangle and I went with Georgie Vaughan and Derry Matthews for a year. Obviously politics and what have you. I had a bit of a rough year then. Couldn't really do anything due to like politics of boxing and stuff. But then when that got sorted, we were in COVID. I then got a call up to fight Kane Baker on 48 hours notice.
Yeah, do you know, after 18 months out, which was probably about as long as you'd been pro before that break,
Yeah.
how did it come about your boxing Kane Baker? Because Kane was, I think, 13-7 at the time, maybe a bit better. But he'd also, in that time, you'd had the layoff. He'd had 4 or 5 bouts. So he was obviously a lot more active than you were, a lot more seasoned, maybe you could argue. How come you jumped straight back in with about like Kane Baker, and or was it just the opportunity that presented?
At the time, I was managed by Tony Bellew. I'd signed with him through the start of COVID, and obviously there wasn't many opportunities coming my way. It was a televised show. I was promised, obviously, I was going to be on the actual televised card. It was a no-brainer, really. Although I probably could have done with the fight before, and it was too much of an opportunity to just say, "Oh no, I need the fight beforehand." Are you there? Are you there?
Hiya, Shaq. Sorry, I think we had some technical issues there.
It's all right.
So we cut out there. I do apologise. We cut out at the moment, just as we were discussing how the opportunity to box Kane Baker came about. I think when it cut off my end, it was when you just said you'd signed with Bellew at the start of COVID.
Yeah.
So, and then the opportunity presented itself to you, did it?
Yeah. And because it spent so much time, as you said, 18 months out the ring, that opportunity come. Savannah Marshall, one of my ex gym mates, she'd failed the COVID test 2 days before the fight, so they needed a fight to fill that void.
Yeah.
Which was then me and Kane Baker. He'd only boxed the week before against Fiaz, and he pushed them to the. He pushed them in a close fight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, as I said, David, I don't know if you caught it before the cut out, but when I was looking into that, he'd boxed, as I say, in that gap 4 or 5 times since you'd had a bout. Yeah. Obviously, that bout come up with Kane. points decision didn't quite go your way on a matchroom undercard. How did you find being in there with Kane though?
Good. To be honest with you, I felt at home. I never ever believe in ring rust. I think you should always, as a fighter, it's just fighting. It's second nature. Obviously, I wasn't fit. I went in there quite unfit. I learned a valuable lesson that night, to be honest with you. And yeah, it stood me in good stead.
Yeah, obviously that, and for a while that was the last time we seen you. From October 2020 until June 2025.
Yeah.
What could you talk us through? What the reasons behind that hiatus you've had, and what's been going on with Meshech? Because it's been a while since we've heard from you.
Yeah. Basically, I got told I couldn't fight again. I had a brain scan, and they seen something. I couldn't actually go into what it was because I still don't really know myself. They said that they seen something and it needed investigating, but yeah, all I heard is I can't fight again, and yeah, in half. I did. Everybody thought I was done, to be honest with you. But yeah.
How did it come about then? Did you have to contest that, or did you take some time away and then reapply for your medical, and whatever they thought was there wasn't? Or and why now? What is it took this long, or did you just have to crack on with life away from boxing? Because obviously you said they're father with all the daughters you can think of.
Yeah. So when I got told that, I had to sit out on the sidelines a bit and think, this is my health and stuff, and they said I can't fight. I had to take time out and really evaluate my situation. Obviously I'm 28 now, so it got to the point where it's like I've pulled it back just at the right time at my peak years. And yeah, I contested it, and here we are.
So you've gone back in the gym, you're back with Wayne for this portion of your pro career. How long have you been back in training with Wayne and the lads at the Gloves?
Since September last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
And it was always the plan to get back active?
Always back active, always. I would never have been able to live with myself and sit there not with the unknown, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
I promised my kids, I've made a lot of promises to my kids as well. My oldest is 13 now. And I remember I was sat there one day just on the couch, and she's like, "What happened, Dad?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You said you're going to win all these titles." And that really hit home for me. Then it was like, I need to get back in the gym. I need to.
So yeah, obviously the kids are getting to the age where they're asking about it, and
yeah, do you understand now?
Obviously, you'd had over the 100 amateur fights at a high level.
Yeah.
Stay there. I like to sort of think is this maybe like a second pro career for you, because say you got to you had them 5 contests going well, then at the 18-month break. So you've gone through a lot for 28, really, haven't you? A long amateur career, then the start of a pro career looking how you would expect it to. And then when you were sort of hitting a level is when you experience the problems with boxing politics, COVID hit. Then you've had your brain scan issue, which is now hopefully resolved. Now you are back fighting fit. You got in there. How did the opportunity to come about fight on the Black Flash show against Casey Gladnam, who, he's a tough lad in his own right. He gets in with anyone, doesn't he? He's been in with some good boxers. How did it feel to just be back under the lights, boxing in a ring, coach, crowd? How was it?
To be honest with you, it was amazing. I see this as my second chance. Not many people who because I know a few people who've been in the same position I was in, getting told can't fight again. A lad in the gym now who's just started training with coaching us and Josh Palladino. He's only 21. He's just found out now they just found a tumour on his brain. He can't fight it.
I seen him post that on social media. He only boxed in the Olympia not that long ago, didn't he?
Yeah, and it half puts things into perspective. So I think this time round now, especially coming back after 5 years, any opportunity I get now, I'm just taking with both hands. I see this as a second chance, as I said. There was no nerves, weirdly enough, up until the ring walk. Then
Really?
it just hit me all at once, yeah.
So,
but then when I got in the ring, I was sound.
I know, obviously, being in with someone like Casey, who probably boxes every week, so nerves don't exist to him. But obviously, it probably doesn't know the journey you've gone through to get back there. You said yourself you don't believe in ring rust, but I do think there's no harm in being active, is there? Obviously, so you've got back out, you've got the win there against Casey. What is the plan now for yourself? What are you going to be, lightweight, light welter? Where do you see yourself settling?
Definitely not light welter. Too small for that. But I think I'm going to keep that as a surprise for everybody.
Oh, okay.
I made 135 on the day weigh-in, my last fight, so that should give you an idea.
It's an idea of where you are, yeah.
Of where we'll be campaigning at.
Yeah, so obviously without going into keeping it a secret, which I think is good to keep all eyes on your stack, but what are we going to see now? Because are we going to see activity, or is there a plan? Is there because I know Black puts a lot of shows on, and Wayne works so really closely with that. So you're in a great position with a promoter who will get you out active. Is the plan to just get on as many of them shows as you can, or is there a route you're plotting?
There's a few things I can't really announce at the minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely going to be very, very active. There was mentioned of 2 shows, 1 in 2 weeks, 1 in 3 weeks that I could potentially jump on, and then September I'm penciled in for 1 as well. I will be doing 6 rounders my next 2 fights.
Yeah.
As I said, I'm 28 now. I've got time, but I haven't got time to be sitting around and doing 4 rounders, you know what I mean? I'm quite experienced, so I feel another 2 6-rounders, maybe an 8 or 2, and then see where we are at the end of the year.
Yeah, and what can people expect to see? Which because obviously I've watched your box over the years, and basically I feel like to stop people like Nabil Ahmed and Paul Pierce and Casey Bradnam, I feel like you do stop the people who give you the openings to stop them. I don't think really anyone stops Chris Hathaway, do they? So
no,
but you're not just a puncher; you can box as well, can't you? What if you maybe haven't seen your box before? What can they expect from you?
I can box. I'm a very, very, very good boxer. I won junior and schoolboy titles through being able to box. Obviously, I was knocking them out as well, but it was calculated pressure, should I say? But I can punch as well. If you give me the opening to catch you, I'll put your lights out.
Yeah. Because the other thing is, with the how many rounds was Kane Baker over? Was that a 6 or an 8?
That was a 6-rounder. That was
a 6. So I know you've got all, but is 6 rounds the most you've done?
6 rounds is the most I've done. Yeah.
I know it's not through your lack of not being able to, but so after 5 years out, you come back, you do a 4, which I think is basically what everyone would have expected from you, but you got him out in the fair. So now the plan is 2 6-rounders, as you've said there. You'll be doing more than that in the gym. You think people will see more of you doing the longer championship distance as you get towards 6, 8, 10, 12 rounds? You think you can display more of yourself rather than you get the opportunity to, or don't you really?
You got to look at the likes of little Jack Turner. He's I think 10 and 0, 11 and 0. I think he's been the distance once. Like, and that's just through he's a natural puncher.
Yeah.
You know, I think his last fight with Ryan Farag, that was
Yeah.
scheduled a 10 rounder, 12 rounder. You know, it just depends. Like, you know, if I can do the distance to do it in the gym,
Yeah.
I can do the rounds. It's just who's gonna take me into them deep horses with the little gloves on, so to
No,
speak.
I understand.
I can do them
Yeah.
now. I haven't got a problem with doing rounds.
Yeah,
Just
that's it. So do you feel like you go in there knowing however the bouts turn out, you've got it in the locker to deal with, whether it becomes a punch or a shootout, you've got the power to deal with it. People want to box with you, you can box and move with the best of them. Is it really like you don't just go in with one style, you do have plan A, plan B, plan C?
I've got plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. It, you know, Casey, he's a lovely, lovely, lovely fella.
Yeah,
And it's hard fighting the likes of people like him. You know, he's fighting for his family to put food on the table and stuff. The plan was to get the rounds out with him. I didn't expect to come back after 5 years and stop him in the first round.
yeah.
It just happened.
But yeah, but that's if it's in your locker. You, as you said, they used Young Jack as an example, and I think that's a great example because there was everyone around Jack probably knows how hard he punches, and I think was it not like I think most of them knockouts have come in the first round for him as well.
Yeah.
So people did sort of say it meant Farag was meant former European champion was meant to sort of be his test, and he got him in the second. And do you feel that'll be similar for yourself when you go through these levels? So you're not quite telling us what weight you're going to go at?
That's going to be a surprise for everybody what weight I'm going to do
Yeah,
at championship rounds. But the likes, as we've just been talking about, Jack Turner there, you know, he's getting scheduled for 10 and 12 rounders and they're not going past the second round. Like,
yeah,
I could see that being the same case for me. Nobody's done that to Casey, what I done to him the other night. Nobody stopped him in the first round. So I think after 5 years out as well, I think that.
yeah. I mean, as I say, doing the MC and on the sort of shows I do, Meshech, you probably realise I get to know the away lads a bit better. They see the same faces every time, and
Yeah,
Casey, lads like Dale Smith, I know he's heavier than yourself, but them
yeah,
sort of lads, they know exactly what they're doing in that ring, don't they? And
yeah.
they know how to get the way through them. So their job is to survive and give you rounds in it. So they don't want to be getting stopped in one. So if you're stopping someone like that, it's coming from your own skill set in it because it's not an easy thing to do.
It tells the story, doesn't it, really? Because these are highly skilled men at the craft, basically. They're there to do a job.
Yeah,
You know, to protect themselves. They're in there, in and out of there every other week, aren't they? So it's like second home to them, taking the punches and stuff. Do you know the little tricks of the trade and how to stay out of danger? So for me to come back after 5 years and do that,
what I
speaks
think is
volumes.
interesting, Shaq, is as we've gone over your career, because if you were to look at your box rec, you weren't familiar with it, you'd just see a handful of bouts over 7 years.
Yeah,
Really, we've gone through there, been over 100 amateur fights with top clubs like the Golden Gloves and the Red. As a pro, you've been with, like, you've said they turned over with the Everton Red. You've been with Eddie Matthews and Georgie Vaughan, who are like legends. Been with Peter Fiore.
yeah, yeah.
How did that opportunity come about, and what happened there? Because I know that's an experience. Because he's not Liverpool based, where you are.
Basically, it got to a point. Georgie Vaughan retired. Um, fr he was getting on a bit, and yeah, I needed a change. I needed out to Liverpool, basically. So when I basically moved in Peter Fiore's gym. Another man who I've got a lot of admiration for, and I owe a lot, to be honest with you. Peter Fiore doesn't just take anybody on as well. So that speaks a lot of volumes that he invited me basically into his home. Not his home, but it's his gym.
Yeah,
And he had me living there Monday to Friday. I was coming home on over weekend. I spent a year up there with him, and just as we got to the last hurdle to have a fight, I got the news that I couldn't fight.
Yeah, but yeah, that's obviously disappointing with the news of that. But that experience gained being there is still in you, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
definitely. I learned a lot.
Come back after this hiatus, and you're back with Wayne at the gloves. It's a busy gym at the minute, and it got some good pros there like Hakeem Palmer, James Francis, Charlotte. Listen, there's the story about no, not nice, but it's good that he's still in the gym training with you, and he's kept him. It's a busy, active gym, isn't it? How's it bouncing off there with being a part of a large stable?
You know what? All the lads, they're all bossed. You know, Hakeem, he's on the hiatus now. I think he's 9-0, 10-0. He's flying. He's had a bit of a hand injury at the minute. He'll be back out maybe September times.
Massive as well. That weight, he's
big and punch as well. He's a punch. James, he's another lad. He's improved a lot. He can whack a bit as well. He's fast. He's a bit of a footy player, James, as well. yeah. He's a good footy player. And then you got Charlotte as well. You know, she's just a fighter. Through and through. She just loves the scrap. So, yeah, we're all just bouncing off each other.
It's a good setup as well, isn't it? Because Wayne does work so closely with Black Flash, and he gets the lads out regularly. I know Hakeem was on a few DAZN shows as well. So Wayne, he's a great fellow, Wayne. I love seeing him in the corner of the amateur shows and stuff. Still, he gets as passionate as anyone, doesn't he?
You know what, with Wayne, I owe a lot to him, because 5 years out the ring, everybody had me wrote off. Everybody was like, you know, obviously for good reason. People speaking boxing and stuff, and I think I didn't put it out there that I couldn't fight again, but I think people knew, obviously, with my absence for 5 years.
I didn't know that was the reason, Jack, honestly.
Really?
I really didn't
know. A lot of people had me wrote off and was like, nah, he'll never fight again. He's done him. Wayne took a chance on me. He didn't really know himself. He was like, can you fight? Can't you fight? I don't really know, but he took a chance on me, and we're here now.
Yeah, well, because I think it's great to see you back, because you were always entertaining to watch, the power, the skill. I do think, not to take words out your mouth, but I think had you not come back, even as boxing fans, there would have been a bit of a question, like a what if he would, you know what I mean? So how that would have been for yourself and your family.
Yeah. Well, as I said, like, my kids are they're older now, 13, 10, 6, 5, and 4. So, you know, the two oldest ones, they understand that my oldest one's on social media, you know, so she reads things, and the 10-year-old's always picking things up from Google, and dad, when you getting back in the ring. So I think, although it's for them, it's for me this time. It is selfishly for myself. I wanna know how far I can go. Well, I know how far I can go. It's just about getting the opportunities and knuckling down and getting there.
I think I could see as well the reaction from social media, seeing people within Liverpool to you coming back, like the people who know the sport, like Tony Moran, Walker, they're the people who've been commenting on my thing about when I said I was going to bring you back, and they know Liverpool boxing better, as much as anyone. So I think that shows the people in the city who know excited that you're back, and now it's a think about getting you beyond that to the next level. I know you said there's 2 6-pounders, then an 8. I know you're not saying that's the weight so I won't go on, but you think maybe next year we could see titles, and is that the plan?
Definitely. Providing everything goes to plan, you know, I don't know. And yeah.
Is there a particular route you've got lined up, like English, British, Commonwealth level, or I don't know, some people go for like the continental titles and stuff now because it gives world, and I understand why people do it, because I feel whereas you are only a handful of fights into your pro career, when you add up all your experience together, you probably are a seasoned pro who's just being hampered by inactivity. So really, I think you could go either way. You could look at like area English titles if you wanted to, or you could bypass them. It's just going to be what comes up, or is it?
Personally, I would like to do it the traditional route: English, British, European, world. I know I'm good enough to do that. I've sparred world champions, I've sparred British champions, European champions. I know my level throughout my career. The training camps, the fights that I haven't went through, but the training camps I've done, I've done it all. So and I know what level I operate at. Personally, I'd like to do it the traditional route. I like doing everything the hard way. I'd love to do it the traditional route. But if an opportunity was to come for one of the intercontinentals or one of the intercontinental Europeans or whatever, I'd take it with both hands.
I think you've got to in this day and age, haven't you? It's like them titles are there for a reason. I think sometimes as well, I'm a boxing fan, so I love to see someone go the English British Commonwealth route, but also you want to fight. So if the best fights, if it's a great fight and it's for, obviously I'd rather it was for the British than the WBO Intercontinental, for example. But if the fight is still the fight, isn't it? It's still the fight. So I think bigger picture, especially as you've said there, 28 getting your second crack at it now, that I don't really think it matters which route you go as long as you get out rather than ever. But
that's the one.
Yeah. Well, I think we've gone through everything there, Shaq. So if we could get the people who do watch you might not be familiar with you to follow your journey on media and keep an eye for you, and then maybe we get you back on when you do have a couple more than titles.
100%, mate. 100%.
Thank you for today, Shaq. And sorry about them audio. I'll try and edit that out.
I don't worry about it, mate. Nice one.
Cheers, Shaq. Good to see you.
Take care, Robert. Good to see you as well. Nice one, mate.